Անցյալ շաբաթվա հանրահավաքը նախաձեռնվել էր Նյու Յորքի և Նյու Ջերսիի գրեթե բոլոր կազմակերպությունների միասնական ջանքերով, բայց չնայած դրան ներկաների թիվը այնքան էլ տպավորիչ չէր։ Գուցե պատճառն այն էր, որ կազմակերպվել էր 1-2 օրվա ընթացքում կամ որ աշխատանքային օր էր, ժամը 5-ին։ Ուզում ենք արդարացումներ գտնել, բայց նկատի առնելով, թե ինչ է կատարվում Արցախում, թվում էր, որ Սուրբ Վարդան Մայր տաճարի հրապարակում կանգնելու տեղ անգամ պետք չէր լիներ։ Հանրահավաքը սկսվեց Հայ ազգային կոմիտեի ANC-ի Նյու Յորքի ատենապետուհի Չանտել Նրսեի ողջունով, որին հաջորդեց Միացյալ Նահանգների և Հայաստանի կայլերկերը Նայիրի Գաբրիելյանի կատարմամբ։
Ազադանգախ Հայաստան յուր որդիքը արդ կանչում է Ազադանգախ Հայաստան
Arunhor yevortvo yevoquin serpo amen. Jesus, wisdom of the Father, give us wisdom to always think, speak, and do that which is good in your sight. Save us from evil thoughts, words, and deeds, and have mercy upon your creatures and upon us manifold sinners. As cortes serats mirots ulgare mester, yeves cortes serats mirots hachogyames. Amen.
Սրբազան հայր գերաշնորհ Տեր Անուշավան archiepiscopos Tanieliani աղոթքին հաջորդեց նաև նրա խոսքը։
We are here together, even though today seems to be the end of a long journey. We adopted and we traveled to express our solidarity with our brothers and sisters in Artsakh. Nevertheless, it's just the end of a chapter, but the beginning and opening of a new chapter in modern Armenian history. The word family, including our government, the UN, the European councils, with their lukewarm approach, they nourished a terrorist dictator who disregarding their statements, their resolutions over the last 9 months. Even today, they have breached the ceasefire, acting in a brutal way to spread terror by kidnapping, by beheading, by misplacing thousands of families from their homeland, like their allies, the Turks, who 110 years ago in 1915 they did, by massacring and deporting 1.5 million people from their homeland. Yet, they are frustrated like us because of the authorities, because of the unjustifiable policy of the so-called the leaders of the new free world.
Իրար հաջորդած ելույթներով արտահայտվեց հայկական կազմակերպությունների հավաքական խոսքը։ Անի Չաքլազյանը հայ հեղափոխական դաշնակցության արևելյան շրջանի ատենապետուհին իր խոսքի մեջ նշեց. մենք այստեղ ենք մեր ժողովրդի համար։
We're living one of the darkest moments in Armenian history. The darkest moment, in fact, since the Armenian genocide. Over 30 years ago, the Armenian nation united with one fist to fight for Artsakh and liberated Artsakh and lived 30 years with an Artsakh that was democratic, an Artsakh that was free, and an Artsakh that was independent. Today, we find ourselves in dark times. We're all hurt, we're all bleeding, we're all angry. It's hard to get out of bed. We have to be here for our people. Today, Artsakhis and Artsakh are facing another genocide. Not facing, they're in the middle of another genocide. We must all plow through these feelings. We have to not give up. We have to stop these sentiments of Artsakh is over. I had the honor to speak to several members of the Artsakh leadership today, And you know what they said? I told them, our communities are exploding, people are upset, we don't know what to do, we're hurt, Artsakh's over. And they said, you know what, Angeriani? Artsakh's not over. This is one chapter. Yes, we lost this chapter. Yes, it's painful. Yes, we're facing a lot of dark times in the next few days, but Artsakh is not over. And they continue to say, Artsakh will be the savior of the Armenian nation. Artsakh will unite us. Artsakh will free us. And this message is to all of us. Every day we get up, we must get up every day, make those phone calls. This government, the United States government, is part of this process. They have a hand in this genocide against the Armenian nation. And we have to remind them every day that we know. We are watching, and we will remind them, and we will show our presence at the polls. That's what we're going to do every day until the tide changes. But until then, every day we must get up, make those calls, be annoying. Make it so that it's harder for them to deny what's happening in Artsakh than to be by our side. That's what we have to do every day.
Հայերիտասարդաց դաշնակցության AYF-ի Նյույորքի հայորդիկ մասնաճյուղի ատենապետուհի Իզաբել Հակոբյանը նշեց, որ Արցախի ժողովուրդը ստիպված թողնում է իր պապենական հողերը.
Azerbaijan has taken its genocidal agenda from starvation to physical destruction, which has included bombings and shellings, resulting in hundreds of casualties and hundreds of injuries. So not only did the people of Artsakh live through a war in 2020 with the loss of relatives and the loss of our homeland, they then lived in 9 months of starvation and are now being subjected to the death at the hands of the enemy while the whole world watches. How can we spell it out for the world any clearer than this? Azerbaijan's primary goal is to end the existence of the Armenians through ethnic cleansing, driving Armenians from their ancestral lands to death. Today, thousands of Armenians in Artsakh are being evacuated from their homes. Truthfully, evacuation is just another word for ethnic cleansing and genocide. So what are we teaching the world? Well, the answer is that we're teaching the world that you can achieve what you want by any means without any consequences, through barbarism and terrorism. Azerbaijan claims that Armenians will be considered equal citizens of their country, but there is no peace or future with Azeri integration.
Հայ համայնքին էր միացել նաև Սիաբան Նաշ Մարշալը, Manhattanville College-ի Mary T. Clark քրիստոնեական փիլիսոփայության բաժնի պրոֆեսոր.
So what is my message to you today? It's very simple. 3 years ago, almost to a day, I spoke at another rally. We were in front of ABC News. And at that point, I said to everyone, whoever didn't expect this is either ignorant or intentionally blind. And I will repeat that today. Whoever didn't expect this was either ignorant or intentionally blind. Yes, we want to point fingers at people and say, either you were ignorant or you were intentionally blind. And that's the path most of us want to take. It's the path that Adam took when God said to him, "What did you do?" And Adam turned and said, "Not my fault, hers." Well, we all want to do that, right? Not my fault, theirs. Not my fault, theirs. No, that comes to an end now.
Վարդանանց ասպետների անունից խոսք ուղղեց Հայ Գուլյանը. Հայ երիտասարդաց դաշնակցության Նյու Ջերսիի Արսեն մասնաճյուղի անունից խոսեց ատենապետուհին Նայիրի Տիրացոյանը.
The United States had every opportunity to intervene, to take decisive action, to spend the past 9 months using every point of leverage to lift this blockade, to send humanitarian assistance to prevent starvation, to impose sanctions on Azerbaijan and the butcher in Baku, to use their seat at the United Nations Security Council to deploy monitors to stop funding the genocide of Armenians through the Section 907 waiver. Not only did the United States signal to Aliyev that it would not intervene, it effectively emboldened an expansionist regime and greenlit the current conditions, with Aliyev subjugating the Artsakh population into a position that they have no choice but to seek safe haven.
Հայ բարեգործական ընդհանուր միության երիտասարդ մասնագետների young professional-ների անունից խոսեց Արամ Բաում.
We were not saying 1915 never again just to ourselves. We were saying it to the world. It was a declaration to the world that we would not tolerate their silence, their indifference, or their complicity ever again. Everyone here tried as hard as they possibly could to prevent this. But it was the world that failed Armenians once again. They failed us with their silence, their complete indifference, and for many of them, their blatant complicity. The people of Artsakh have been betrayed, forgotten, and used as pawns by the international community, the same way millions of Armenians were in 1915. The genocidal dictatorship of Azerbaijan has once again shown its true intentions were never to regain land that it falsely claimed to belong to them. Their intention has always been to scratch out the Armenian identity of the land and to get rid of the Armenians who live there. Further, Azeri forces attacked Armenia's proper eastern border just yesterday. Their plan of creating a pan-Turkish state connecting Azerbaijan to Turkey is in full motion. If the world powers fail to keep their promise of 1915, never again, the entire Armenian nation and its population will face the same threat of genocide.
Հանրահավաքին միացել էր նաև հայ ավետարանչական եկեղեցին ներկայությամբ Արամ Բեսյանի.
I don't need to remind you that this is nothing new. We've been conquered, taken over by other nations, and survived, and we will survive this again. God has been faithful in the past, and He will continue to be faithful. In this broken world, there will always be good and evil. But ultimately, through our faith and trust in what Christ did for us on the cross, we know that we win. Let us not forget what God promises about His answer to evil and injustice. Vengeance is mine, I will repay. God is not in the business of revenge, my friends. He is about justice. His wrath and judgment against those who do evil and allow it to go on is perfect, complete, and thorough. But the question is, when, and honestly, I don't know.
Հայ երիտասարդ դաշնակցության արևելյան շրջանի վարչության անդամ Նայրի Գաբրիելյանը.
We have a lengthy history of needing to fight for our right to exist. Despite the constant battle to preserve the rights to our history and culture, one thing our ancestors never lacked was heart, determination, resiliency, and spirit. We must remember this when we become disheartened and lose hope. The only way we have thrived is by believing in everything that we stand for as a people. We must remain united in this fight. We cannot be apathetic. Do not be indifferent. Do not become complacent. Do not allow yourselves to accept this injustice. This is the time to live the words that we use in protest. 1915 never again.
Ավարտվեց հանրահավաքը Ամերիկայի արևելյան թեմի առաջնորդ հայր Սուրբ Տեր Mesrop վարդապետ Parsamyani փակման խոսքով.
Երբեք մի ասեք, որ մենք տգար ենք, որ մենք չգրցանք պաշտպանել Արցախը, որ մենք արժանի չենք։ Մեր ժողովուրդը հերոսական ժողովուրդ է, որովհետև կբայքարենք այս սրություններու դեմ. We don't know what will happen in coming days, in coming weeks, and in coming years. But one thing stands as clear as day to me, and that is that in the days and in the weeks to come, the people of Artsakh, our brothers and sisters, are going to need our support more than ever before. And equally clear to me is that we must stand united as Armenians, as our speakers, they emphasized. We should stand united and strengthen our diaspora, our communities, support our organizations, and become stronger.
Այս հավաքն էլ մեկն էր այն բազմաթիվ հանրահավաքներից, որտեղ հնչում է մեր ձայնը, սակայն այն առանձնապես լսելի չէ։ Ամբողջ աշխարհի աչքի առջև ցեղասպանության ենթարկվեց իրենց հազարամյա երկրից Արցախի ժողովուրդը։ Նրանց քշեցին իրենց պապենական օջախներից։ Մենք այսօր կորցրինք Արցախը, ինչպես 100 տարի առաջ կորցրեցինք մեր նվիրական Մասիսարը, Աղթամարն ու Դվինը, Նախիջևանն ու Ղարսը, ամբողջ արևմտյան Հայաստանը։